The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello, good evening, welcome. No, why do I keep saying good evening? Because it's evening now for here, for us, for me, for you, and for others, but not for everyone who may be watching this. And when they're watching it, it may be a completely different day of the week, month, year, time. They may even be on a different planet or in a different parallel universe. Who can tell?
Don't start with that.
Anyway, this is the well, what is it? Oh, this is the Sciforror Film Podcast, and we are here. I am Andy Walker, and the other person you can see on the screen here, or you can hear the voice of if you're not watching it on the screen but listening instead, is my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Hello.
That was the longest intro I think we have ever done.
I know not from what I'm talking of.
Oh,
Anyway, how are
does
you?
that mean you're not going to ramble at the end of it?
I doubt very much if that's true at all. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
How are you?
I am remarkably. So, got a dent in my head. Yes, I'm all right. So, shall we get on? Are you all right?
Yeah.
Just shaking your head. Don't forget we're doing an audio version.
Oh, I know. I did say yes, but this is what I'm. I did say yes, but I think my mic's playing up a bit.
Anyway, we are going to do 2 short films and a longer. We're going to start off with one that I have actually been meaning to do before now, but we, for some reason, haven't done it. It's the short film from 2017, and it is a film called Blight. Now, this is from Goodman Films, made in conjunction with the National Film and Television School and Neil Galton's Prosthetic Studio. The directors are Christopher Goodman and Kate Walsh. The cast, Jack Parker, Adam Basil, and Rosalind Parker. The synopsis for this film says, a young police officer gets more than he bargained for when he visits the home of a reclusive farmer and his family. Yeah. Now, the reason I've been thinking about doing it, I've been thinking about doing this before now. We haven't got around. I don't know why we haven't got around to it. Is because we did a film by Christopher Goodman and Goodman Films. I think it was in the second season, which was the first one where we started doing short films, and that was the film Black Ice.
Oh yes, I knew I remembered that. I was looking at the name and I knew I recognised it from somewhere.
So yeah, I've been meaning to do this because this has been another one that I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And the reason for that is because it's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's The Colour Out of Space. It's not a retelling of the story. It's not exactly the same as the story, but it's inspired by Lovecraft's sort of things.
Yeah.
I think it's just got a very odd beginning because I couldn't tell. I still can't tell. I've watched it 3 times, and I can't tell whether. I can't make my mind up if the beginning of it is a miniature or if it's real, like live, real footage, if you know what I mean. It's because it looks like it might be a model. It's very difficult to tell. Or it might well be, there's this camera thing you can do that makes things look like they're models rather than
Yeah,
being real. I don't know. I can't make my mind up which it is.
no, it's very well done. A lot of this is very well done.
Oh, I love it.
The makeup and the prosthetics and the visual effects are amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think it's brilliant. It's got a great look. The story is really good. The atmosphere that they create
Yeah,
and the sets, the way the sets work with it all being overgrown and everything, and the atmosphere that creates is really good.
yeah. It's to be honest, even if you don't read the synopsis or anything, it's and understand what's going on, it's a very you can still gather what's going on from the film.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
as I say, it's very well done. The acting in it is amazing.
absolutely.
Um, the cinematography they've got in it, so for some of the camera work and some of the shots and some of the angles, I thought were amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the effects I think are brilliant, as you say. The prosthetics and the effects and that sort of thing, I think are really brilliant. And I especially like there's a little surprise right at the end, which I wasn't expecting to happen. And it just before it goes, the screen goes black and it goes to the credits. This is just this little tiny surprise, which really kind of like it just works so well.
Yeah, I've
It's
got to admit,
done so well.
I had to go back and watch it because I thought for a moment my eyes were playing tricks on me because I was expecting it, sort of that sort of something's going to happen, and when it started getting to the point when nothing was like okay, and then it like obviously the little surprise, and I was like I had to go back. I was like, did that happen or was it my imagination? But
What?
it's so subtly done.
Oh yeah. And what I also like is the fact that it's kind of left open for it to be made or for it to be taken on to make a second film or something else to be done from it,
Yeah,
because the main sort of creature thing kind of gets away,
yeah,
which makes a nice change for it to be left open like that,
mm,
but without it feeling like it's being done in a
on
kind of,
purpose.
I don't know. Sometimes in American films they do it and it feels like it's really contrived, but
Mm.
this actually just feels like it's a
Yeah,
natural sort of part of the
it's
story.
it's done the way it's done. It's sort of it can be made into another film or adapted, or but it's done in such a way that if it's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's done perfectly well to wrap it all up, but it leaves it just open enough to carry it on.
absolutely. I mean, I really, really like this film, and I'm glad we've got around to doing it in the end.
Mm.
I would have hated to have missed this, to be honest.
Yeah,
As I say, it's been on my list for films to do for a little while, and I've just kind of, I don't know why we haven't got around to it before, but it is brilliantly done, and it all works so well. The whole film works
mm.
excellently. I applaud Christopher Goodman completely because he makes both of the films we've watched have been really good.
Yeah, and the the team or the college or whatever university or whatever
Yeah,
people behind the makeup and the prosthetics are just amazing. It's just so
absolutely.
well done, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
it's a lot of films where even sort of modern, like a lot of modern films, you could tell certain things are fake and all that. But this, it genuinely looked real. It looked like something had happened, and it wasn't like part of the film, if that makes sense. It was a genuine, like real life thing that had happened.
yeah. No, it really worked. It was really good. It really worked well. Okay, so the second of our two short films is from 2017, and this is a film called Demon Runner. This is a Roach Turner Brothers film made with the help of Screen Australia. We haven't done many Australian short.
No,
We've done a couple of feature films, but the director is Kai Roach Turner, and the writers are Kai Roach Turner and Tristan Roach Turner. Um, the cast is Kathleen Turasini, Alex Jewson, uh, oh God, what am I doing? Nandali Campbell Killick, Carmel Rose, and Kane Thompson. Interesting to note that Alex Jewson has actually been a stuntman or a stunt rigger in a number of big feature films.
mm.
as well, which is quite interesting. The synopsis for this film is: a demon hunting team chases a demon using the internet to possess unsuspecting victims. So I did see a thing on one of the sites I saw. I was looking at about this film. I was looking for the synopsis and the list of cast and everything, where it described this as being Ghostbusters meets The Matrix, which I can kind of see. What do you think?
I'm saying I really like this. I know what people are saying about that review, but I I really like this. I've watched a lot of demon films and stuff like that, but I like the way this is done. It's a very different way of for the possession to be done,
Yeah,
and I think it works. So I'm saying there's no speech in it as well, so it's pure action and a lot of gore in it as well. But I like it. I genuinely and I love the sort of the intensity of it as well. But I'm saying the prosthetics as well, like the makeup, the set design for a start as well. It's
absolutely.
just a well done. And I think the best bit I liked about it is um, the first sort of I don't know if it's the class is the first, but the sort of one of the women you see being possessed
Mm,
and she's doing all like when she sort of then attacks her. I think it's a boyfriend or husband or whatever. I think it's just so well done. And obviously for the acting to do that, she must have known how to do it anyway. But have that involved as well, I think is very well done and just amazingly done in this film.
yeah, I know. I agree. I think the sets are absolutely brilliant. They're so brilliantly done. They're put together so well, and the effects are really good. And as you say, the bit because of the sort of gymnastics or whatever it is that
Mm.
she's doing, as the woman possessed, that they just work incredibly well. And
Yeah.
again, the effects of that section where she's attacking her boyfriend or husband are brilliant. I also love the demon when they isolate the
Mm.
demon comes out. The makeup on that character is great, but I do like the fact that it's got this tech connection, that kind of slightly more high tech connection to the kind of demon possession thing. It makes a nice change. It's something bringing it into the sort of modern world.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. It's a different way of doing it. It's not like the typical sort of demon possession film where it's a lot to do with like religion or sort of stuff like that, or
Yeah,
sort of summoning it or whatever. It's done through a more technology side of it, and I
yeah.
think the fact that they brought that into this sort of modern day, if you can say it as, with that, I think works so well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's a really well made film, and it's a really good film. But it does also, what I love about it as well is it does also have this thing that Australian movies have, and I think it's something to do. Must be something to do with the Australians. But every Australian movie I've ever seen, whether it can be the deepest, darkest, goriest slasher movie in the world, there's always at least one bit in it that makes you kind of smile or almost laugh.
Yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean? And
yeah,
the bit where she collapses behind the sofa and her
yeah,
boyfriend or the husband's playing on computer games and he just looks over his shoulders to see what's going on. There's nothing there.
yeah. I know exactly. It's sad. What I liked about it is the fact that it had the gore and the sci-fi and the sort of everything to it, but it had that little bit of a comedy.
Yeah,
But it's just the same. I think it's very well done.
it is really brilliantly done. It's a really good film. I think it works incredibly well. Um, although I will say I am getting a little, I don't know, the person bent over backwards walking on all fours thing kind
Yeah,
of like, it's been done in lots of films since The Exorcist. It's kind of, it's a little bit
yeah,
old hat, but it was well done in this. But it is a little bit old hat.
yeah. It just is. It's not been done in a while, but it did get overdone for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our two short films. On to our feature film. Now this is going back a bit now. It's even before I was born. It's saying something. This is a film from a science fiction film from 1956 called Earth versus the Flying Saucers. And this is the colorized version that we watched. The director is Fred F. Sears. The writers, the screenplay written by Bernard Gordon, George Worthing Yates, and the screen story, which is slightly different to the screenplay, but I don't quite know how, is written by Kurt Siodmak. Now, the original inspiration book, which was actually more non-fiction than fiction, was written by an ex-RAF officer called Donald E. Kehoe, and that was originally called the flying saucers from outer space, I think it was called. And as I say, it was non-fiction. It was more to do with sort of like recorded incidents from RAF files and things like that. So the cast is Hugh Marlowe, Joan Taylor, Donald Curtis, Maurice Ankrum, John Zaremba, Tom Brown Henry, Grandon Rhodes, Larry Blake, none of which I've really heard of before. I think they've all done sort of bits and pieces and sort of stuff in the 50s and 60s, but a lot of the other stuff they did, there were a few odd sci-fi or horror things, but most of the other stuff they did seemed to be westerns.
Yeah, I did notice that. I looked
or,
it up.
or TV work.
Yeah, I looked it up, and there seems to be a lot of people that were in westerns in there.
Now, the interesting thing for me, the two people, William Woodson, who was the narrator, he did a lot of narration and voiceover stuff in films and TV and that sort of thing. He did the voiceover thing on the TV series The Invaders in the 1960s, American TV series. And the other thing with the alien voice, although he was uncredited, was done by a guy called Paul Frees. Now, Paul Frees did tons and tons of voiceover stuff, and he did loads of like impersonation things in America on TV and on radio. He used to have this. He had this whole thing where he did a show. I think it was almost every year. He did a show on Halloween where he would impersonate horror movie stars, doing weird things. He would be sort of like he would do things like he'd have like Peter Lorre singing a Frank Sinatra song or something, things like that. But he did loads and loads of stuff, and he did lots of horror and sort of famous people with impersonations on a TV and radio show. But he's uncredited in this for some reason. I don't quite know why.
I went through the IMDb page, and there seems to be a lot of cast on this that were uncredited.
Yeah, well, lots of it is extras and sort of people like that.
Yeah, it just seems like there seems to be an awful lot.
Well, there's a lot of extras. So, it's just one of those things. Right, so the synopsis for this film says extraterrestrials traveling in a high-tech flying saucers contact a scientist as part of a plan to enslave the inhabitants of Earth. Yeah, you've got a person mooching about behind you, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You're mooching. So I found this interesting because it starts off almost like a documentary, which kind of fits in with the source material.
Yes.
But then it becomes a fairly kind of normal 50s sci-fi B movie.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's sort of the way it started. I did wonder whether or not I was watching the right video for a start, but it was very, very weirdly done.
Yeah,
and the sort of the way it sort of carried on.
Yeah,
it just sort of almost seemed to switch to a different film.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, it's not an original story. It was done before this, and it's been done many times since this. All of them, all of the versions of this kind of story to me, seem to show America as being a real kind of like, it's all about shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah,
Because I mean, to a large extent, I mean, the aliens they've been visiting for some time.
yeah.
They haven't shown any real signs of aggression as such. And then when one of them finally lands and people leave the spaceship, first things the Americans do is go and shoot one of them.
Yeah, to be honest though, that's portrayed in a lot of films from
I know.
this one to even modern ones. The fact that their first things to do is to get aggressive, and I don't know. Obviously, I think you'd think that I know this is an early film, but as it's gone on, that they've learned. But it's I don't know. It's a very weird film. Like I was reading some of the reviews of this before I actually watched it,
Mm,
and someone pointed out about the fact that half I think it's about 19, 20 minutes into it, you see one of the flying saucers, and because it's where it is that you see a fly land on top of it. It's only like
yeah,
a quick couple of frames, but you see a fly land on top of it, and I was just like, "Oh, that's just ruined it a bit." But no, it's a very I think it's a very bizarre film, but I think also because of the time when it come out, I
yeah.
think it's another one that sort of jumped on the bandwagon of the other films that were doing well at the time because this had come out a couple of years just after the War of the Worlds originally did.
Yeah, I mean the thing about this is that it's very much. I mean, at the time, a lot of these B movies were kind of like they were effectively, um, they were basically warning people against the rise and the spread of communism, and they were basically saying, these people are going to come and enslave us, and it was very very loosely sort of masked as being sort of like these are communists and they're going to come and
Yeah,
enslave us and all this kind of thing, and the thing that gets me is like it's once the Americans have shot at these aliens and killed one of them and starting a war with a power that's obviously more superior than us, which is rather stupid.
yep,
Um, but the rest of the film plays out like a typical sci-fi B movie of this type. It just kind of they abduct some people from Earth. They say we're going to kill you or we're going to enslave you. Um, they what I loved is the fact that they say look to your sun, and the sun has these massive things, and it's like they don't actually say that they caused it.
no,
So it could well be they would come to warn us about it.
yeah, there is that. I've got to admit, I did. That's one of the things I did like about this is the fact that it seemed to fluctuate very much on the sort of style of graphics that was in this. It was obviously very 50s sort of spaceship and
Oh yeah,
the the asteroids and stuff like that. But then the footage they had of the sun flares, I thought was very sort of I don't know if it was real or what, but it seemed to be very
yeah.
well
I
done.
mean, it did look like it was proper footage from a
But
from a.
yeah, it just seemed to sort of it was very weird.
Yes.
The sort of it was
Hey,
very odd.
the thing that got me is they then say there's going to be 9 days of like these kind of huge natural disasters, which they never show and never seem to actually happen because they defeat the flying saucers, and then the main couple end up on a beach where the sun's shining and everything's wonderful.
Yeah,
And what happened
it's
to all of these major, like, weather disasters? There were going to be hurricanes and floods and God knows what else. They've just never happened.
I do love the fact though that this all started because of the start of it was all because of the fact that really it was all because of a missed call.
Yeah.
Like if he missed the message and didn't decode it fast enough to say where they were meeting, that's why everyone went into a panic. And I was like, I did sit there afterwards and thought, I wonder how many times that's happened in real life
Oh, yeah.
where things have gone on and gone. If I just answered that phone call,
Yeah. No,
it's
no.
just
I mean, I know what you were saying about the effects, but I really like the effect. It's Ray Harryhausen. who did
Yeah,
the effects for this film, did effects for hundreds of different films, and I love the way I love his. When you think about it, his effects are done with miniatures and stop motion.
yeah,
There was no CGI, there was no green screen, there was none of that. It was all back projection and miniatures and stop motion and all this kind of thing. And it's incredible effects, really, for what they are.
yeah. It is, and I love the fact that it's one of them things that in the effects that they use in the time, is obvious the fact that obviously what it was, but the time that it happened, like when it came out, it must have been obviously amazing. And the thing is that this guy that doing the effects he done it must have been quite ahead of his time to do a lot of this
Oh yeah, I mean,
and putting a lot of it into films.
Ray Harryhausen was an amazing guy. You only got to watch some of the Sinbad films or Jason the Argonauts and that sort of thing and see the stuff that he did in those. It's just
Yeah,
he was incredible, absolutely incredible. Um, but the thing for me for this film really is the fact that this film has a naff ending. The ending of it is really awful.
yeah,
You know,
it's
do you think the aliens are going to come back? Yes, but not on such a nice day. What?
yeah. It's to say it had some quite good bits in it and some very scientific bits in it, I would
Oh
say.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there were bits in it that again I did the same thing. I sat there and I was just like, what the on earth? Just
yeah.
okay. I say about the effects though. I liked the effects they used for the. I don't know. Would it class it as a death ray at the end when they're vaporizing
Yeah, well,
everyone?
yeah. It was more a sort of sonic ray, I think.
Yeah, but I liked the effects they used on that.
Yeah,
The sort of, especially when the soldiers are on the ground and the sort of traitor was left.
yeah, yeah,
Very well done. It's just I don't know. It's one of the films that it's a mix of good bits and bad bits, and it makes it an okay film.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think there are some bits of this that are really. It's like, okay, we've got 9 days. Over the next 9 days, you're going to have all these terrible things happening, all these terrible floods and earthquakes and forest fires and whatever else. And for some reason, when he says to them, don't forget, we've only got 9 days and one of them was almost gone already, why does he have to write 9 on a pad and draw circles around it for about 5 minutes?
Yeah, I just
As if these well-educated people who are running the military don't know what 9 is.
yeah. There were certain bits in this I loved. Like I realised the part of this that made me realise that it was going to be a bit of a odd film to watch was the very first bit actually when they're talking about the fact that these flying saucers have been seen by commercial aircrafts
Yeah, yeah,
and they're a group of people looking out the window and the flying saucer flies past it. It then goes to a shot of inside where the stewardess drops the plates, and
yeah,
everyone looks at her, looks randomly, and I know it's whether or not it was me or not, but it's the look on their faces. What are you doing?
yeah.
It's sort of the look of you didn't need to do that, but and it made me laugh. Is the fact that bits like that, and I was like, okay, I can see there being a
But
slight like sort of
it's like I
weirdness
know
to this film.
I know aeroplanes have come on a long way since the 1950s, but the aeroplane, when they show you the inside of it, it only looks about sort of 10 foot wide.
Yeah,
It looks
it's
like you could lay down, stretch your arms out, and touch either side of the plane.
it's the thing is as well. Like I've seen planes from like 50s and about sort of earlier planes. I don't remember any of them. I don't know whether or not it was just an American thing. Where remember a lot of them with wooden cladding on the inside.
I don't know. Some of them might have. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the only film I've seen, I think that had a naffer ending to than this, as far as a science fiction film goes, is what's it called? Is it called the crack in the earth, or is it Meteor? The, there's a bit. The idea of this film is that a big section of the Earth
Yeah.
it cracks all the way around and it gets sucked out into space, basically, or ejected into space. There's all this molten lava there.
Okay.
And I think if I'm right, it's a meteor or a comet or something goes past, pulls this bit off the Earth because it causes earthquakes, and it
Yeah.
causes this bit of the Earth to crack and pull off all that, and then it goes past and it doesn't actually kill us. But then you've got this lump of the Earth missing with all this molten Earth there and all this sort of thing. And the next thing you see is there's a bush and a rabbit comes out from underneath it. I thought both of those things would be fried.
Yeah, I love films like this.
But this,
It's just
I mean, it's nice to watch a 1950s movie because we haven't done that many of them, especially sci-fi ones. We've done a couple of
no.
horror movies, but it's nice to do a sci-fi one, and I enjoyed watching this. I think it's not one of my favourites from the 1950s sci-fis. I mean, I think I'm a bigger fan of other films.
Yeah.
But as far as 1950s sci-fi films go, it's okay.
Yeah, so it's I said it if I think if it had been released at a different time, I think it probably would have done a bit better. But to compete with a few years before, obviously War of the Worlds and a few other films at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
I think it's I
I
think it's
think
one of the ones that sort of it got forgotten a bit about because of
I
other
think
ones
that
that gone
I
on.
think they did a very clever thing though by having the aliens as, well, I don't know if they were meant to be robots or if they're just encased in this armor.
Yeah,
But doing that was quite a good because of the fact that they look like being in armor basically,
yeah,
but it meant that they didn't have to worry about having lots of prosthetic aliens all over the place or Ray
yeah,
Harryhausen doing little stop motion aliens everywhere.
yeah. There is that.
Um, but yeah, it was good fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd say it's a it's one of the films that we've watched just so we can clarify it. It's the on a sort of late Sunday afternoon sort of film.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon, sit down and have a bit of have a watch and just go,
Yeah,
oh, that's good. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So we have Blight from 2017, which was an excellent short film. Demon Runner from 2017 as well, which was a very good, also a good, really good short film. And Earth vs. the Flying Saucers from 1956, which was it was an okay film. It's not a bad film to sit and watch for a while. Interesting way to spend an hour and a half,
yeah,
just like getting lost in science fiction silliness. But as I say, it does paint the Americans in a very war,
aggressive light. Yeah,
yeah. Not that they need any films to do that anymore.
no, not anymore.
Okay, so there we go. That's us for this week. Thank you very much for being involved, Scott, for your
Yeah,
insights and comments and things.
glad I could be here.
Me too. Next week we will be back again with two more short films and a feature film. Feature film.
Yes.
Anyway, until such times as then, without further ado, adieu. Yes, what I'd like to say is, anybody out there watching and listening and things like that, if you could just click on the like button and maybe subscribe to the
Yes.
channel and sort of thing, and watch some of the others and see if there's any recommendations we have given over the time that we've been doing this that you may not have seen that you would like to go and watch. Most of the films are linked with the episodes. Also, there are on the channel playlists of the films that we have done, or as many of them as we can do. We can put on there So you can go and watch them on those playlists. And the one at the end of this season, obviously, the one for this season will be put up. And so you can watch them on there.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much and everything for watching. If you have, and if you haven't, then you won't know what I'm going to say, so I won't worry about it. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Till then, have fun and everything. Bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.